This lesson is going to be all about formatting of cells and all the different really cool things you can do with the formatting, where you can angle contents of the cells. You can update the different formats, so different number formats. You can add in decimal places. You can select fonts, different sizes of those fonts, bold. You can set the fill colors as needed. And there's also borders, so the different borders, the colors, how to adjust the type of border. There's merging of the cells if you've selected multiple cells. And then also there's, under the more options, there's horizontal alignment, which aligns it either to the left, right, or center. There's a vertical alignment, so top, middle, or bottom. There's how to handle the text wrapping. There's text rotation, so this allows us to tilt up, tilt down, and also customize the angle of the tilt. And these are just really neat ways that we can manage some of the content and how the content is being displayed within the spreadsheet. So that's all coming up in this lesson. In addition, we are going to be looking at format and conditional formatting and how we can apply conditional formatting to cells that are matching with their content, the conditions that we're applying and looking at for those cells within the range. This lesson, we're going to be looking at how we can format cells. So once you select a cell, or you can select a range of cells, you have options for formatting the contents of those cells. So you can go up to the Format tab at the top, and from there you can select the number. So if it is a number, the different number types. You can also select numbers as plain text. So let's go ahead and we're going to add in some numbers, and also ones with some decimal places as well, so that we have some variety of numbers that we can work with. And then going down to the cell, I can drag it and add additional cells with additional content. So this way we've got some cells that have number formats. So let's select both of those cells that have the number formats, go over to Format, and we've got an option to do it as plain text. So if we update it as plain text, we're no longer going to get the sum at the bottom. So these are now considered text numbers. And if we drag them, it's not going to be able to distinguish what the next cell value is, because now they're going to be treated as text. So there is a disadvantage. If you do have numbers, do treat them as numbers and make sure that they are formatted as numbers in order for them to be able to behave as numbers. So we've got the different numbers, so automatically it will detect a number. So when we do select a number, we can select the format of those numbers. So going over to the Format, and when we do treat it as a number, we see that we did add in the .00, so we have an option to update the number of decimal places that we have within the formatting of the numbers. And we do also have an option, a quick option here within the quick menu, where we can decrease the decimal places and we can also increase the decimal places. There's also a drop down for number formats, and then there's a few quick number formats such as percentage that we can add in. We can also update it and set it to dollar amounts, so currency amounts. And then again, we can go back and we can decrease and increase the number of decimal places that are available within these cells. So let's go back and we're just going to revert them back to the numbers. And now that they're back as numbers, and you can always tell that they are numbers when you hover, when you go over, you make the selection, it's going to automatically do a sum of those values. So that way you can always be sure that they are numbers. Let's go down and select more number formats. So we've got the currency rounded. So what this does is this rounds the currency. And if we were to select that and do the rounding of the currency, it will just round it up, so no decimal places for the currency. Let's go back and update those again. So we can also have it as a date and a time, or we could set it as a custom currency. So I just selected the custom currency. By default, we're using the US dollars, but there's all the different world's currencies that we can use. So if we want to change it as Chinese yen, we can apply that, and that's going to automatically apply and add in the currency symbol as well into the values. There's also formatting it as a date. So when it is formatted as a date, so let's enter in a number, and I'm going to select to format that as a date. So it'll automatically try to make a date out of the contents. So in this case, it gave me date in 5514. So let's move it back down to 2010. And now we've got a date format. Once it's within a date format, if you double click it, you're going to get a calendar popping up, and that way you can navigate and select the specific dates and increase them and decrease them as needed. If you do a drag down, it will automatically increment the days by 1. You can change the format of the date format, so you can also include the time, so update it to the time format. It can be date and time formatted, and there's also duration that you can set it. So this is going to be the number of milliseconds that it's going to be applying that duration to. So also under the format, let's switch it back to the date format. And under also formatting, we can apply different, like boldness, italicize, do a strike through of the content. And we can also update the text color. So there's the custom colors that are for the theme. We can add in additional colors using the color picker, adjusting the hue and the hex value. So that way we can select and create a custom color. And there's also the default colors that we can use. So we can select any one of those default colors. So those are also available when we go to format under text. So there's the bold, italic, underline, and strike through. And there's also a font size. So this font size is as well available within the quick menu, where you can select and you can adjust various font sizes to those, and selecting the different colors. So that's all from the quick menu and the color picker. If you do want to reset them back to their original, you can clear the format by going to the format and clear formatting, or doing the shortcut, the keyboard shortcut, in order to clear the formatting. And this will automatically revert all of the formatting back to the original formatting. There's also alignment, so you can align left, center, and right. And there's also top, middle, and bottom. So let's do a center align, and I'll make the cells slightly larger in height. And now let's do an alignment to the middle. So select what you want to do the alignment, and then select it as middle. So that will automatically middle center it. There's also the wrapping, so you can do an overflow where you can cut off the overflow, you can wrap, or you can clip the overflow. So let's update and add some overflow content into the cells. So this one is overflowing. Let's go to the format, and where we can wrap it, so it automatically wrap to the next line. And we can also clip it, which is the default. And let's go back to the wrapping and the overflow. So that's how you can manage if you've got content that's overflowing. And sometimes it's a good idea to make sure that you're overflowing according to how you want to output it. And especially if you've got a lot of content in here that could potentially be needing to have the customized wrapping. There's also a rotation. So the rotation, what that does in the format, so you're able to tilt it up. You can also tilt it down. You can stack vertically, and you can rotate up. So stacking the vertically. So what happened now is that this text content got stacked vertically instead of horizontally. There's also where we can rotate up. And then this way you can get this type of effect where the content is rotated up. There's also the rotating down, so that will just rotate it down to the next 90 degree. And you can also set a custom angle. So with the custom angles, there's several different predefined custom angles that you can set the text at, and make that selection and update the contents of that cell with that customized format. There's also for the font size. So font size, typically it's a lot easier to just do it on the quick menu. where you can select this size. You can also enter in a custom size if you don't see it within the drop down. And in order to take the custom size, just press enter, and that will set that value at the custom size. And then you can also get the predefined sizes. You can also do alternating colors. So this is a nice way to be able to better read the sheet content, where when you select alternating colors, what range you want to apply the alternating colors to, the different styles for header and footer, and then there's also the different color themes that you can do. And this just makes the content a lot easier. You can customize how you want the header and the color 1 and color 2. So these are just going to be alternating colors. You can add in custom styles. You can customize the way that these styles are going to look. You can also update the header to match the style that you want to use. And there's a lot of really good options here. So typically what you'll do is you'll do a lighter and a darker shade so that it is easier to read and that doesn't ruin the flow of the colors. You can also remove the alternating colors by selecting it and doing it under the format as well. And then at any time you can just select everything and you do a quick clearing of the formatting, and that will remove out all of the formatting that we've actually added in. There's also an option to merge cells. So you can select the range of cells that you want to merge, and you can do a merge of those cells. So once you've selected the range that you want to merge, under the format, select merge cells. So you can merge all of the cells. You can merge them vertically or you can merge them horizontally. So if you merge them all, that's going to just create one big cell of content, and it leaves us with the one test 6 cell. So I'm just going to revert it back. So it's automatically going to take that top cell content and overwrite that other cell content. Let's also see what else we can do for merge, where we merge vertically. So only preserve the top leftmost value. So if we merge anyway, it's going to only preserve that top left value. So let's revert it back and then do one more format where we're going to merge vertically. So again, it's only going to keep the top leftmost value. So if we merge, it's going to be removing out some of those values that might have been there. So you got to be really careful when you are doing the merge that you don't want to be inadvertently overwriting some of your content that you need within your spreadsheet. So these are just some of the ways that you can update the way the content is viewed. There's also what you can do as well is you can have options for borders. This is as well available within the quick menu. So selecting the borders, you can have all borders, you can have inner borders, horizontal borders. So these are the horizontal borders, outer borders. You can remove all of the borders. You also have options for customizing the color of the borders. So this is a good way if you want some content really to stand out. There's also the border style that you can adjust. And if you do the drop down, you've got the merge here as well within the quick menu. You also have the text rotation that we had just looked at. So that's text rotation. So you also have that within the quick wrapping. You have the vertical alignment, you have the horizontal alignment, the text wrapping, all under the more option. In addition, you also have a way to change the font. So if you want to use a specific font, you can select from your recent fonts, from your system fonts, and then set those as the fonts that you want to use. And then of course there's also the font size, so you can adjust that, and that's going to adjust the way the fonts are being output. And once again, if you want to get rid of some of this, you select the range of cells, go over to the format, and you can clear the formatting, or you can select the specific formatting and adjust it individually as needed. And in this case, I'm just going to remove the alternating colors. So that just removed the alternating colors from the content. There's also, if you go under format and select theme, this will give you a theme for the formatting. So you can set the specific theme for the formatting, and this will make some adjustments to the formatting. So in this case, what it's doing is it's updating some of the font styles. Also, if you have some colors, it will update those colors as well according to what the theme is. And you can fully customize this theme as well. So selecting the font theme, and there's a whole bunch of options down here on the right hand side with the colors, the text colors, the accent colors. So there's a lot you can do with the themes, and as well when you're customizing the theme. So this is a customized theme which is available under the format option. There's also a conditional formatting. So conditional formatting is formatting depending on a condition. So we've seen all of the formatting which is automatically done to the cell contents. If we select conditional formatting, it's going to open up the format rules. And here, once again, we need to select the range that we want to apply the formatting for, and then the format rules that we want to use. So there is a drop down for the format cells if. So to give you a bunch of options here. So if it's empty, not empty, contains text, text does not contain, starts with date. So this is the date value. If the format is as a date, so this is date is, before, after, and then for numbers, we've got greater than, less than. So let's do the greater than. And we're going to apply this if the value of the cell contents is greater than 7. Then the formatting, what we want to apply. So it's just got a default there, so we can make it bold, italic. We can update the text color and also even the fill color as well. So let's update the text color. And then once we've set this as a rule and we hit done, that's going to be applied to the cell contents. If we want to apply that to other selected ranges, we can do the conditional formatting and select the range that we want this to apply to. We can also select formatting, conditional formatting that we've already set. So under the conditional, under format, and if we go to conditional formatting, it will open up the existing rules. So we can, from here, we can delete it or we can edit the existing rule. So if we want to update the range and add another range here, let's select the range from the cells directly. And even with the pop-up, we're able to select the range. So now we're not only going to be looking at E4 to E10, we're going to be looking at F1 to F10 and hit OK. So now this format is being applied to it. Let's update this to a value of 3 where it's doing this. And we can also apply a second rule. So applying it to that same format. And if it's greater than 5, let's customize what we want for the output. They've got some options here for as defaults. So we can select this as a default. Let's customize some of this. We're setting it to orange or set it to purple and hit done. And taking this rule, so it's purple if it's greater than 5, but this rule is already in place. So if we want it to be purple and we want it to be red, then we need to update the order of the rules. And you can do this simply by dragging and dropping the order. Whenever you're hovering over it, you see you've got the 4 dots. So this gives you an option where you can drag and update it, and whatever rule is at the top is the one that's going to oversee the ones that are below it. So if cell is not empty, it's going to get a green color. And if it's a value of 5, or greater than 5, then it would be purple. But because this rule is the top rule, they all have values, so this rule gets applied to all of them. So this type of rule, if we're applying to all of them, we want to keep it at the bottom because we want the values that are greater than 5 to be purple. So we need to have that rule at the top. The second rule, where the value is greater than 3, comes into effect on the remaining ones that weren't true for this rule. And then the last one, we can also add additional rules as needed as well. So that provides us ways that we can apply conditional formatting depending on what the contents of the cell are. So that means that if we were to update these values within the cells at any time, it would also change and updating the formatting of the contents of the cell.